ignoring our values is going to create a lot of problems. When we sacrifice our values in the moment, sometimes we really don't understand how that creates a negative impact, sometimes years down the road. Hello, and welcome to the Empress podcast. I am your host, Jessica, known in the online space as Jess the Empress. I started this podcast to help you be present with yourself, cope with chaos, and simplify your life. I do this by combining psychology, behavioral science, and the tarot. I have a background in mental health, specifically a master's in clinical social work from USC, and I'm a professional tarot reader. So get ready to have a nurturing, creative, and empowering experience with me as we use practical magic. Hey, hi, hello. It's Jess. Happy to be here, top of December. Today is December 2nd. I was running around like a maniac yesterday and I just really didn't have time to record the episode. So I'm here. We're going to get into it. A couple of housekeeping things. One, I want to share with you my newsletter. So if you're already subscribed, thank you so much. I appreciate you. If you're not subscribed, I really recommend you get on the list now. And here's why. I've upgraded the newsletter. So, for those of you who have been subscribed, you know that you get a once a month horoscope. And then you also get little bonuses and little like tips and stuff here and there. So, the 2025 newsletter is still going to have the horoscope, and there's going to be a coaching email that comes out. So, there's going to be two newsletters a month from me. Now, the coaching email, it's a lot more direct. The horoscope ones are lighthearted and fun. I mean, they still give some guidance, but the coaching has a very different tone to it. It's to the point, it's short, but there's a lot of applicable things within each newsletter. I just really recommend you go ahead and get it done subscribe, because if not, like, I just feel like you're missing out on some really good stuff. And what's cool about it is you'll have a whole year's worth of tips to look back on. I love that for you. I love it for me that I'm creating it for you. I also love when I get to have that experience within my own emails. I don't know if you organize your emails like I do, but my inbox is like pretty organized in terms of what I like to access several times throughout the year to go back and read, because we love a good horoscope. We love a good coaching tip. Let's get into December. Let's get into December's reading. Okay, what is the overall energy for everybody? What is the overall energy? All right, we have the Ace of Wands in the upright position. New beginnings, new intentions, new energy, new moments of clarity. The Ace of Wands is like this energy that comes to just boost you. So I want you to think about this twofold. First, I want you to think about the ways that you can help boost yourself. Staying hydrated, getting good sleep, getting some sunlight, stuff like that. All that'll help you. And then I also want you to work on your mindset, being open to things changing at any moment. And those things changing can be okay. They can leave you in a state of neutrality, they can leave you in a state of positivity. But either way, that there's good things on the way to you. Sometimes it's difficult to see how things can be good when our mindset is blocking us, because our mindset is always trying to keep us safe, right? Our default mindset. But if we're thinking the worst, and that is keeping us safe because then we're not acting, we're not taking risks and things like that, it also confirms that things are the worst, because every single person on the planet has a confirmation bias. If you tell your mind things are the worst, your mind is going to look for evidence of that in the real world about how everything's falling apart and everyone's horrible and nothing good can happen. You have to be really careful about what you say to yourself. And there's a balance here. And maybe this balance is something that's going to start feeling a little bit more true for you in the month of December. The other side of it, where the balance comes in, is the overly optimistic. Everything's working out for me. Like I hear that affirmation online all the time, and it doesn't work. The reason it doesn't work is because it's not possible. It is not possible that every single thing in your life will work out for you. Now, are there experiences that we just absolutely hate while we're going through it and we can turn it into a positive later on? Yes. But I mean it in a sense of like that you're somehow like divinely chosen for you to have no problems in life, you know? And I also think about the times that we're using this affirmation. It's usually when things are not working out for us. Do you know what I mean? Um, my whole point though is that the cognitive thoughts here, what am I trying to say? The language of our mind, when we're using everything, it's a very polar word. It's a very all-encompassing thing. And we just know that that's not true. If you look out into your life, everything is not working out for you in every single way. And that's okay because that's a part of life. So there's nothing wrong with it. But you can't even confirm that to yourself because that's just not how life is. So we have to tell ourselves things that are true. And I just try to like gently, reframe some of these things I see online. I know it's true for me when I feel it in my body and I don't feel any anxiety or weird sensations around speaking it. I don't also feel like I'm forcing myself to sort of say something that I really don't believe. And I don't have a problem with not believing the affirmation, everything is working out for me all the time, or everything will work out. Um, it's okay that some things don't work out. I have made peace with that because everything is all encompassing. That would be like a perfect life. That would mean you're somehow above the human condition and the human experience. And since you're here, you're listening, watching, whatever, you're human. So just be realistic. Ace of Wands, again, is like initiating some type of balance. With wands, it's a fire energy. So it really could be that things that have like cooled off, that don't have a lot of momentum, are sparked. They start to warm up. You're getting some gears turning in the Ace of Wands. So I feel like the month of December is bringing a really nice opportunity to you with mind, with action. It's so important again to get your mind right because when you're saying things to yourself that really make an honest difference, it can help move your body into action as well. Think of how much harder it is to get momentum when you're telling yourself everything about this is hard or I can't do this, right? It's a lot more difficult to do that than if you're coming from a mindset of I'm open to trying. Our second card is the Four of Swords in the reverse position. Let's get some clarity on the Four of Swords reversed. Oh, Five of Cups in the reverse position. We need to learn how to let things go. Okay. The month of December, I'm not saying that things are going to get taken away from you if you don't learn how to let them go, but I am saying that, um, letting things go it's a skill. It's harder sometimes than other times because for a variety of reasons, right? We have an attachment to the thing that we're trying to let go of, whether it's an emotional attachment, a psychological attachment, there's something going on that's making it a little challenging. And that's also a part of life. Like I said, it's an art, it's a skill. And it's so through repetition, you can become better at letting go. Four of Swords is in the reverse position. I feel like as a warning saying, if you don't learn how to manage your mind, it's just going to eat you alive. Look, maybe because it is December and it's a big holiday season, our minds might be around things that are less fun and playful than holiday cheer. It might be, I'm supposed to go to all these events and I don't want to talk about X, Y, and Z. Or, okay, everyone's expecting gifts, but I have a budget and I can't afford X, Y, and Z. Like, as much as we have holiday cheer and beautiful lights and lovely songs, there's a lot of anxiety that people feel during this holiday season, and rightfully so. But the Four of Swords in the reverse position is saying, like, you have to learn how to manage your mind so that you can rest. um, Sometimes I will take a break from work and I'll lay down, but then my mind is just like going, going, going over all the things. And I have to actively work at putting that stuff on the back burner and remembering it's okay to rest. I have to affirm it's okay to rest to myself sometimes until I can actually settle into my body and begin the resting. And sometimes that can take 15 minutes before I really get to that state. So the Four of Swords reverse, it's like, let's manage our minds in the month of December. Let's not keep playing into scenarios that are, you know, performative, as in I need to do all these things for all these people for them to like me. I have to show up to all these events and talk about the things I don't want. I have to overspend. I can save for myself later. I'll blow my money now for other people. We need to be speaking in ways that, again, bring us peace. And sometimes those phrases can be tough. It's about making tough choices sometimes. With the Five of Cups in the reverse position, this is giving me this energy like, I'm not going to carry the guilt anymore of saying no. I'm not going to carry the guilt of having to maybe explain why I'm not spending as much on holiday gifts this year. Like it's like that kind of vibe that I really want you to embrace in the month of December, because I feel like that's where some of the healing is for a lot of us. And so that's exciting. I'm glad to see that. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee really quickly. Hey there, coffee lovers. Are you tired of settling for boring coffee? I have a treat for you. Today's episode is brought to you by Heartwork Coffee Bar, your one-stop destination for exceptional coffee experiences. Whether you're a coffee connoisseur or just someone who appreciates a great cup of joe, Heartwork Coffee Bar is here to elevate your coffee game to new heights. At Heartwork Coffee Bar, they take pride in their craft because each batch is carefully roasted to perfection, ensuring that every sip is a symphony of flavor. From the rich and the robust to the light and fruity, they have a coffee blend for every palate. And here's the best part. For you amazing podcast listeners, Heartwork Coffee Bar is offering an exclusive 10% discount on your purchase. Just use the code Empress10 at checkout and you'll save big on your order. Why settle for ordinary when you can indulge in the extraordinary coffee from Heartwork Coffee Bar? Remember to use code Empress10 for that special 10% discount and treat yourself to the coffee experience that you deserve. Don't miss out on this fantastic offer. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thanks to Heartwork Coffee Bar for making today's episode possible. Now go grab your favorite mug, brew a fresh cup, and enjoy the podcast with the perfect companion, Heartwork Coffee Bar. Cheers. Knight of Swords in the upright position and the Ten of Wands in the reverse position. All right, with all the sword cards here, yeah, lots of, okay, so fire and air in this reading. I think of it as a nice rapid energy, especially with the Knight of Wands, because that card, I'm sorry, not the Knight of Wands, the Knight of Swords, that card is a very swift moving one, suggesting that our mind, again, it really might be all over the place. I think the goal, maybe that's more realistic given the circumstances in this season, might be about healthy distractions, because maybe having a calm mind during this time is not even a thing for anybody. So there's no shame on that. We're just talking about adjusting a strategy. And again, paying attention to what you're paying attention to. So if you decide that instead of taking a nap because you're too aroused, like, cortisol arousal, you're too like fight, flight, freeze kind of thing, and it's just not going to be effective, and you decide, I'm going to scroll on social media, because you made a conscious decision to do that, it's actually a good strategy. There's nothing wrong with using all of your coping skills, even if it's not the best coping skill for the moment, because you have a bunch of stuff in your toolbox that you can get at a later time. And you can always change your mind later anyway. If you start scrolling and you don't like it, and you do realize, oh, I want to rest, and then go ahead and do it. But the Knight of Swords is here to say, there's a lot of mental activity in December. Ten of Wands reversed. We need to be mindful of how much responsibility we're really taking on. How much mental responsibility are we doing? Sometimes we process things for other people that they're not even interested in thinking about, right? We're over here analyzing, tripping out, thinking, trying to understand why X, Y, and Z happened because they did this. They don't even, while this person is just living their life, and they don't even care about why they did what they did. I just want you to make sure that what you're processing in the month of December makes sense for you. Like it aligns with your values, similar to the Four of Swords reversed and Five of Cups reversed. Letting go of what is not yours to carry. You were told to carry certain narratives about who you are, what you should do, how you should be. I can't tell you what you should think about in terms of like the details. I'm just telling you from what I see right here, be really mindful of your mind. And what I do for thought work, I'll share a little bit with like my own process. But what I do is really identify where my thoughts are just so off track. When I start to really be overly empathetic and caretake what everyone else is feeling, and my mind starts to become preoccupied with whether or not these people are happy, this thing is doing, absolute best because I have like that perfectionism, like so many of us. If it's not being perfect, then I should like keep thinking about how to make it better. And it's just like, no, some things are just fine the way they are. Like, just let it be. This is my own stuff. And so, yeah, that's how I have to talk to myself. But first, I have to say, what am I saying to myself that's creating this unrest and this over responsibility? So when I really write all my thoughts out, I'm usually able to identify something. And sometimes my exact narrative can be that I have to do this, which is not true. I have a choice. I have a choice in whether I keep perfecting something or I say, you know what? It is good the way it is. It is good. I can trust that it's good the way it is. So I have to reframe a lot of what's happening in my own mind. I feel like we all do, because again, like I said, we've all just been inheriting these thoughts about things and ourselves and what we're capable of and what other people should be doing. It's messy, messy, messy. But the Knight of Swords, it's like there's a lot of it. It's a lot of movement, a lot of electricity kind of energy, like I'm not sure how to explain it. I will just say, yeah, December feels like it has like an electric energy again with the fire and the air here. But we can't use that as an excuse, especially now because you're listening to this in the month of December. So that should come as no shock if that's what you're feeling. And you're like, oh my gosh, what? You can do something about it. And not just in the month of December, anytime you're feeling a little sped up and a little bit out of your body, you might want to take a look at what you're thinking. Because again, when we're not looking at it, it's in the unconscious. When we actively choose to put our eyes on it, i.e., writing it down on a piece of paper and looking at it, we're like, oh, okay. And you're making it conscious. You're then like putting eyes on what's going on in the back of your own head. From the consciousness place, you can say, what do I want to do about this? Is this a thought that's helping me or is this a thought that's hurting me? Does this thought align with what I really believe or want to believe? Or is this thought just an old belief system playing out? If I could tell myself anything, what would it be? If I could tell myself something a little bit more believable in this moment, what would it be? Okay, and we'll do one more little reading, another little overview of the energy here. All right, my loves. King of Pentacles in the reverse position and the Sun card in the reverse position. Ignoring our values is going to create a lot of problems. When we sacrifice our values in the moment, sometimes we really don't understand how that creates a negative impact, sometimes years down the road. Something I see that slips at people all the time on their growth journey is when they compromise their values in an effort to control a person or to control a situation. This is the word coming up for me. It's control. King of Pentacles reversed. This is a person who's worked really hard to get where they are. You've worked really hard to establish your values. You've worked really hard to establish your moral compass, and you're continuing to work on that because you're continuing to grow. Pentacles have a lot of growth energy connected to them, which is what's really nice about it. The earth energy here, it is the physical body, it is money, it is, again, values, things that are tangible, things that are, again, in the moral sphere as well, not just valuables, as in like, oh, I love this table or whatever, but your values, right? The things that matter to you, what you invest in. Invest in can be financial, but investment can also be your time and attention, right? Like, where do you place your energy? Every place you place your energy is a vote for you saying yes to that thing because you're giving it your attention and your time. So they're saying, there's some type of value here. With the sun in the reverse position, it keeps giving me this element of control, saying like something about this hasn't been brought to the light yet. So maybe this is new information for you or a new way to look at what I'm trying to say. Some people will use compromising their values as a means to control other people or situations. Here's an example. When I was dating people in my past, and this was when I was in my 20s, I would act like I was way cooler than I was. So, what I mean by that is, I would act like some things did matter to me and didn't matter to me when I felt the opposite. So if someone said that they liked going out and drinking, I would be like, yeah, I'm so down to go out and drink. But really, like, I wasn't. And I got myself into a lot of like crazy social situations because of that. But I compromised my values to control the situation. I didn't want the person to think whatever of me if I said no. I didn't want to lose an opportunity to hang out with people if I said no. But I was being manipulative to myself and to other people. Now, in this example, I don't really feel like I hurt anybody but myself when I compromised all my values. So, this is what I'm saying. I want you to look at where you're compromising yourself because you feel like you can control something or someone. This is a shadow part. This is another part of the sun in the reverse position. With it being in the shadow, it's really important that we bring that to the light because when we're having real authentic relationships with people, we're not trying to control them. We're not trying to control everything in life either. And a lot of life is not controllable. So it is a false sense of security. Going back to King of Pentacles and security, I felt at the moment that I could just go with the flow and I was fine and it felt like I was in control. But man, that erosion of standing up for who I am, that erosion of me being in my self-worth, it wasn't that singular event that led to me not being able to do that, not being able to stand up in my worth later, but it was a continuation of things like that that um left me making really poor decisions to make other people happy again because I hadn't been practicing standing in my values. I hadn't been practicing investing in myself. And it was a tough lesson. I ended up really having to untangle from codependency because of like how often I was doing it. Now, if I go back to my childhood, and we can go a little bit deeper here, because again, it's shadow work. It's not always about going deep. I just don't mind sharing about my past. So you don't need to go to your childhood. You can just listen about mine, okay? But the sun card in the reverse position in King of Pentacles, that erosion of values, that, putting other people first, I was conditioned that way. And a lot of us are from childhood to make mommy and daddy happy, to make this person happy, do this thing. So that way this whole situation will be fine. Or, yeah, this person will be appeased. So as children, we're often just, this is like socially conditioned into kids. I feel more so girls than boys because girls are supposed to be, the ones who absorb everybody's feelings. And then role models weren't necessarily healthy either with a lot of codependency. So I never learned. But here's the thing. When I decided to work on myself and I decided to do shadow work and I decided to go to therapy and things like that, I realized I really had to find new ways of relying on myself and building up my self worth. So, working through codependency, becoming a stronger individual has made a lot of sense for me in my journey. Now, are there still times when I want to control? Of course. Oh my God, please. I'm a human. Of course, I want to control things because then I feel like everything would be perfect if I could control it. But that's like so delulu. And it's fine because we all have that delulu in us. I know I'm not alone. I'm not alone. but I had to bring it into the light. I had to bring it into the sun, essentially. I had to bring my unconscious thoughts about control and perfectionism into the light so that my relationships with people were not based on control and codependency. They were instead based on just a genuine respect for the person being a full individual, being someone that is just here to live their own life and have their own journey and have their own lessons and in their own time. So that took a while for me to learn, but the King of Pentacles reversed. He's like focused on his little, pentacle on his throne right now. And I think about where we're again placing our time and our attention. And is it reaping the rewards that feel good? Because the King of Pentacles in the reverse can be about dissatisfaction. And if we're dissatisfied, maybe we need to reflect on what we're thinking about these situations. Maybe we need to reflect on the way that we're going about trying to create change. Is it through influence, gentle influence, or is it full blown like control tactics? And I really want to say this with a lot of compassion. Don't be mad at yourself if you realize, like, oh my God, I'm like a controlling person or I'm like using control tactics. Every single person does it. You just have to learn that it's a choice and you can learn a different choice. I mean, I learned that. Like, I took a lot of classes. I went to therapy. I had to leave people behind, there was a lot of things in my life I had to work on. But because I value myself and I value relationships in general, I wanted to be the best version of myself. And part of that was knowing when I'm choosing something that it's not the best way to be. Not for me. I want to be in relationships that are healthy. I want to be in relationships based on, fairness and autonomy. And so I had to learn how to do that. So December might be bringing some stuff up for us, which is very interesting. If you need some support, of course, I'm here for you. Um, I'm happy to hold your hand. I'm happy to coach you through it. But I hope that this helps. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hey, love, I want to ask you to rate and review my podcast. Giving me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts would mean the world to me. I love knowing who's listening and what everyone is getting from the episode, so please take a moment of your time to share your thoughts, and I look forward to reading your reviews soon.